Good evening and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Roundup with your host T. Will and a friend of the show that we all know and love, Mr. Jordan Burton from Old Legacy. Jordan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Eagles are moving on, and the Saints they are eliminated, but we're looking for a new head coach. So I'm mixed bag right now.
I understand. Well, hey, at least one of your teams is playing on it. For those of you
Yeah.
who don't know Jordan, he has two teams. Yes, he has two teams. I mean, you just got to think about it for a second, and once you do, you'll get over it. But he is one of the few people in the world I know that actually has two favorite NFL teams. Um, he can tell the story another time, but
Yeah,
he
that's
does
another
have
time.
he does have two favorite teams. So one of them is the Eagles, and the other is the Saints. But thank the Lord, the Saints are not in the playoffs. I noticed that shirt you have, man, and I'm trying not to look at it, but can you tell us there's something special about that shirt? Can you tell us about that shirt?
So I don't think, unless you're living under a rock, I don't think you've missed the tragedy that happened on New Year's Day in New Orleans. Well, Fanatics is selling these shirts. I don't know if they're doing a long sleeve shirt. I know Darren Rizzi wore a long sleeve version of this shirt
Mm-hmm.
during the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Any time you buy this shirt, all the proceeds go to the families and victims of that incident. So I ordered one a week ago. Whenever they went on sale, they were like $35 somewhere around there. So yeah, I highly recommend ordering them. They also have ones for Los Angeles and all the wildfire victims. They have ones for all Los Angeles sports teams, as well as I don't like any of the Los Angeles teams. So I ordered. They have an Olympics version, which we know the Olympics is coming in 2028. So I think it would be a great thing. You can order either one of those shirts. You don't have to order any, but they go to a great cause.
Well, in that case, I'll take two. Not of those shirts, but I can take two of the Olympic ones. I can support in that way. You know what I mean? I can only do so much, Jordan, I'm surprised we're friends. But anyway, I think I'm friends with the Eagle side of you. I think that no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Jordan is my friend, guys. I'm kidding. All right. So, let's get into it. NFL Roundup, right? This is a show where we just kind of focus on everything that's going on with the NFL. We'll talk some Falcons because, hey, I'm a Falcons dude. We'll get into some Eagles. We'll get into the playoff predictions and just some news going on around the league, right? So, with that being said, man, let's go to a hot topic that a lot of folks are talking about, and that is Roger Goodell wants to go to an 18-game season. Now, I keep seeing stories on this. I know you keep seeing stories on this, but give me your thoughts because you're either going to have to cut the preseason down to 2 games or you're going to have to install another bye or both. Give me your thoughts on this, Jordan.
I hated the idea of going 7 to 17 games, so I got a little bit of OCD, and I don't like having an odd number of regular season games. I think it's stupid. I think having 17 games is just dumb. I thought the next logical step after 16 was 18. I mean, before it was 16, it was 14. Before 14, it was 12. It only just made sense to go to 18, but no, you went to 17. That's stupid. I've always been a fan of 18, but I side with the players on this. You need to have 2 buys. Obviously, they're going
Oh,
to
yeah.
eliminate a preseason game. We all know that. Goodell wants to eliminate a preseason game. The NFLPA wants to eliminate a preseason game. We all know it's going to happen.
Mhm.
I mean, at this point, we might end up just having one preseason game. Um, I personally like preseason because allows for, because I mean, I get people all the time saying, what's the point of preseason? Because there's guys that are fringe roster spots that need a chance to show how good they are. I mean, without that, we wouldn't have a lot of undrafted guys be these Hall of Famers like Terrell Davis, like Kurt Warner. I mean, these legendary players wouldn't have had a chance if there was no preseason. So, anyways, I'm for an 18 game schedule. I think I agree with Goodell saying it's the next logical step. You need to have 2 buys. That's the only thing I think holding back the NFL from doing this just next year.
And why do you think they don't want to go to an extra bye? Because it's going to delay the season and you'll have the Super Bowl in mid-February or potentially a week later,
Yeah.
almost March. Is that, do you think that's the hesitation behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand a lot of the logic behind why not. I guess they don't want teams to be too rested. I don't really understand the logic. I think it just makes sense to have 2 games. You get healthy players, and because they go on buys like early in the season and later in the season, and
Mhm.
you see players playing at their full potential. So, and you see coaches scheming better because you have those weeks, another week
Right.
to learn more. So I don't really know.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think, would it be just 1 week or would it have to be a combination of 3 weeks? Like in the regular season, the NFL teams don't all take their bye at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the well, what we would now call the first bye. So for the second bye, it would have to be similar. So you wouldn't just be talking about extending the season by 1 week, or would you? I don't know. I don't know how you would do that.
I mean, you would basically extend it another week. I mean, you could extend it into. I mean, you've seen posts about this for years about
Yeah.
extending the NFL season into President's Day weekend. That way, President's Day's that Monday. So, I mean, it just makes sense. Extend the season. It's not gonna do any harm. I mean, you get more football. More football is good.
More football
I
is
mean,
great.
mhm.
No, well, I'm with you. More football is great. I'm just thinking, well, I guess you could still have a second bye because again, you would I guess what do they do it? 4 teams at a time for a bye, or is it
um,
4 at a time, or
it's always been weird. I mean, there's been sometimes it's 2 teams that are on buys. Sometimes it's like 4.
okay,
I mean, there's never really a rhyme or reason. All I know is that there's like a gap of games like from weeks 5 to like week 12. I don't know, maybe 13 that are bye weeks, and then the only weeks, there's like 2 weeks in between all that nobody's on buys. That's Thanksgiving week, and there's
okay.
some other random week thrown in there in between all that a bunch of teams don't have buys. There's not really a rhyme or reason as to why certain teams have early buys compared to other teams.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, but I mean, the more I think about it, you could do it, so it's not a big deal. My thoughts were, if you got to extend the season by 4 weeks, I could see why they want to do it. But if it's just one
Mhm.
week or worst case scenario two, it's not a big deal. It
Mhm.
is not a big deal. So okay, that makes sense. We can move on. So the Dolphins are going to play in Madrid. I don't know who they're going to play, but they're going to play in Madrid this upcoming season. Jordan, do you ever see a universe in which the NFL Europe is, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Rises from the ashes and is restarted again, or because you got to feel like, okay, you're going to Madrid, you're going to Germany, you're going to Brazil. You're obviously trying to build up the fan bases in those countries, but are you doing that because you're going to play there? Or are you doing that because you want franchise there? Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, Goodell's been very open. He wants franchises. Wants international franchises, and you know what? I like it. I just think he's thinking way too far ahead. I don't think the NFL is ready anytime soon. I mean, you have to, because of how this goes back to the schedule. You have teams that are traveling so far,
Mm-hmm.
and they might have like 2 normal nights sleep, maybe 1 normal night's sleep before they have to play a game. That, in looking at the bigger picture, a game in an internet in any other country could be important to the playoff standings.
Right.
And I know a lot of people who don't like this. I have my own idea, and I think the NFL should start the year week 1. Every team in the NFL plays in a different country. So you have 16 international games to start the year. And then following that, everybody has a bye, or maybe a mini bye. But a bye that's long enough to where everybody can adjust, and because I mean, jet lag and all that, there's a lot of issues, but it solves a lot of issues, because then you have those international markets getting that attention. You can see the bigger picture, whether certain teams get higher viewership in certain markets or not. And it also allows not just America to get into football season, but the whole world to get into football season. I mean, all right, I don't like getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. But you could, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter when you wake up. I mean, you still gotta plan ahead. Like, if I wanted to watch the Eagles play in, like, I don't know, Japan in a couple years, it's not happening. But I mean, if it were to happen, I don't know the time difference off the top of my head. So, but you got to plan ahead for those. And but I think it still would get the world looking at football. And I mean, Goodell has said he wants international teams. We're not ready for that. We need to have a better schedule for our current 32 team, and then we need to think about expanding in America on top of that. I mean, there's a lot of markets in America that have potential but don't have NFL teams, like St. Louis. I mean, look at the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL, how big their games are. I've for years thought that San Antonio makes sense for a market. A lot of people, it's gone back and forth whether Birmingham, Alabama is a big market or not. I think Birmingham has clearly shown that they have the potential to have a good team, but you need to build that energy that Alabama gets. So, I mean, there's a lot of places in America you need to grow to. I would say the next step is go to 40 teams. You have 1 per division, but within America, maybe in Canada and Mexico. And then from there, slowly expand. It's going to, it might not be in our lifetimes that we have teams all over the place,
right?
All over the world. But I think you need to slowly ease into it. Otherwise, you will see teams fold. I mean, you might see a team go to London and fold because they can't financially handle everything, because nobody's going to the games because the teams might suck.
Right. Right. That's a good point. That is a good point. Okay. Cowboys now have completed a virtual interview with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore for their head coaching job. Well, I know this just butters your grits.
Mhm.
DSGB says, T Will, you got to be the most busy man on YouTube. And you're right. You're right, DSGB Hall. You are right. You are right. Uh I know it pains you to talk about it as an Eagles fan, but give me your thoughts on was it Kellen Monroe or Kellen Moore, I'm sorry, in Jerry World. Give me your thoughts.
All right. I was not a fan of Kellen Moore being hired on the Eagles. I
Oh,
knew
okay.
he was a pass first guy, and I'm a run first guy. I want to see run first, and I hope the world knows that the Eagles are a pass first offense, and Saquon still ran for 2,000 yards.
Oh my goodness.
We are 100% a pass first offense. If you watch every single snap of every single offensive play of every single game, it drives me nuts. And it's not just Kellen, it's Nick. It's Nick Sirianni. He's to blame for this too. I have a whole bunch of issues with the scheme of the offense. It gives me headaches. Um, but when we hired Kellen Moore, I knew we would be a pass first offense and then run first and then run second. I mean, you look at how Kellen Moore operated the Cowboys. Dak was a very successful passer, but Zeke started to turn in his career the moment Kellen Moore started calling the plays because Zeke was not he wasn't a pass catcher. He was good at catching balls, but he wasn't great at it, and Tony Pollard was. So and I always thought Zeke was better than Tony Pollard, and when Tony Pollard was more efficient in the small touches he got. And then you take Zeke out of the equation, Pollard just fits the system more. And that's what I expected out of getting Kellen Moore. I knew when we got Saquon, pairing him with Kellen Moore, I thought Saquon is the perfect back for Kellen's system. He can catch very well. As much as he dropped a couple passes here and there, especially to lose to the Falcons, I get that.
I wasn't
But
gonna bring it up. I
but
wasn't
if
gonna
you
bring it up.
but if you think about it, and I knew in that moment, I said we're gonna forget about this 4 weeks from now, and we did. And honestly, it's a dot on the radar. It's just
Mhm.
it's something that if you're gonna nitpick, and there's no point at even thinking about it. Would the Eagles have had a chance at the 1 seed? Maybe. I think the Eagles are also 2 drops away from the 1 seed if Devontae Smith catches the pass against the Commanders and Saquon catches the pass against the Falcons. So I'm very optimistic about the Eagles either way. But you're bound to have negatives. I'm one that I feel like I don't want to ever go perfect during the regular season. I want to have one loss on the year because you enter the playoffs on a winning streak. You feel like your loss is about to come.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Anyways,
pressure.
getting back to Kellen Moore, because I'm going all over the place because he drives me nuts. Um, I kind of figured this was going to happen. I thought Kellen Moore was. I I really wanted the Cowboys to give Mike McCarthy an extension. I hate the Cowboys more than any other sports team in America. And Mike McCarthy, the moment he was hired by the Cowboys, I thought, this is awesome because he sucks. And it's not like the Cowboys are going to ever do anything under him. This is perfect. Um, this would be the most Jerry Jones move to hire Kellen Moore because I feel like Kellen Moore, there was always going to be a chance that he was going to be the next head coach of the Cowboys. Um, I had a friend of mine message me and he's like, I think it's kind of weird that the Cowboys are interviewing our offensive coordinator right before a huge playoff game. And I'm like, it happens. The Bears were interviewing Ben Johnson, so it happens all the time.
Right.
It's nothing big to me. I think who this hurts the most is Jalen Hurts. Obviously, I love Jalen. I know the media trashes on him a lot, but he does exactly what he needs to. I think he's. I don't want to say underrated because I don't think underrated is the word. He's just the media just criticizes him, and he might be going through a completely different offensive coordinator now next year.
I think there's a narrative for him, and I think he's treated unfairly. First and foremost, Jalen Hurts is the most team first guy that I can speak of in a while. Definitely all about the team, all about whatever it takes to win, always trying to be positive. It's not easy to deal with AJ Brown, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm not ripping on your guy. I'm just being honest here. I was doing a show last night with two friends of mine who happen to be Bills fans, and the subject of prima donnas came up, right? And I think you and I have had this conversation, but I'm going to ask you because their spin was a little different. Do you think, because I know there are some receivers that are soft spoken and, act like they've been there when they score a touchdown. But I would say most receivers do not fit in that category. Most receivers, if they're not total nuts like AB, they have a little of that prima donna in them. Hey, man, I'm open. I want the ball. I want the ball. And, we were theorizing last night that it kind of takes that to be able to go across the middle and get your head knocked off and get up and come back and do it again. So my question for you, and it's kind of off topic, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think you have to be a bit of a egomaniac to be a good receiver in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but I don't think you need it necessarily. I think there's been a lot of Hall of Fame wide receivers who have not been prima donnas, and I think there's been also a lot of Hall of Fame wide receivers who are prima donnas. There's a lot of all pros, a lot of Pro Bowlers, and I mean, if you want to just look at like this year, for example, I mean, I think we all can agree Jamar Chase was the best wide receiver in the league this year. Jamar at times can be a prima donna, but this year, going into a contract year, that man said, because I mean, he could have sat out. I thought he should have gotten paid after week 1. And then he goes and gets the Triple Crown. He does have some prima donna in him, just like I think Justin Jefferson does. But when it comes to playing football, they know when to shut up and just ball out. And I respect the heck out of those guys. AJ Brown, for example, can be a prima donna at times. But we kind of need that because like Jalen ain't no prima donna. Saquon and Jalen Hurts are basically the same mentality. It's like all they care is win. But how many yards do you throw? Win. Devontae he's a hilarious dude, not a prima donna. He's a very team friendly player. I mean, he will do anything. He'll block him and his. I don't know how big he is. He's like
30 pounds,
80 pounds. Yeah.
You said 180?
I mean, but he'll block.
No, that dude got to be 160, man. That is no. He's got to be 160 soaking wet. Nah.
But he blocks extremely well for his size. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. He bounces off guys like he's 300 pounds, and it's wild. I love it. And Dallas Goedert is a team player. Most tight ends. There's been very few tight ends that are prima donnas. I think Travis Kelce is probably viewed as a prima donna because of his his celebrity life, but I don't think he is on the football
I don't think
field.
he is either. I don't think he is either.
But like most tight ends aren't prima donnas.
Right.
Offensive linemen, I've never heard of a prima donna
Not at
offensive
all.
lineman.
Not at all.
But you probably maybe Trent Williams. Sometimes if you get Trent Williams' way, sometimes. But sometimes you need that. And I think the Eagles offense thrives on having someone like that. AJ, I mean, in his style of play fits the Eagles so well, but also his mentality. You need someone to keep you on the edge of your seat. And that's what AJ does. So I don't think you necessarily need it. But I think depending on the team, you might need it. Depending on who's throwing you the ball, you might need it. Yeah, it depends. It really does.
All right. Rams Eagles this Sunday, 3 p.m. You nervous?
No. In fact, I actually want to get into my recap really quickly of the Eagles and Packers game.
Go right ahead.
So, I want to start off. I don't understand how the Eagles got the ball on the opening kickoff against the Packers. I don't understand. A lot of Eagles fans don't understand. It should have been Packers ball to start the game.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn Nixon, all-pro returner, didn't expect he'd fumble. In fact, he came out and said he wants to start playing cornerback full time. I'm like, all right, okay. Right out of the gate, crazy. Like, why? I don't understand how the Eagles are getting this ball right here. And then Jalen Hurts takes all the time in the world to throw an 11-yard touchdown to Jahan Dotson. Jahan's first of the year. Thank you. I love Jahan. I've loved him since he was at Penn State. Dude is so awesome. He's very underutilized because he's a wide receiver 3. And I don't think any wide receiver in that wide receiver 3 spot on the Eagles will do well. You could throw Julio Jones in his prime in that spot. It doesn't make sense in the system. So I'm glad to see Jahan get his first touchdown. Then Jordan Love throws an interception to Darius Slay. I knew going into the game that you needed to get Jordan Love to turn the ball over. Otherwise, we're in for a long ride. I knew going in, Packers were going to be a difficult team to face. They were one of two teams, they were one of 3 teams I did not want to play in the playoffs. The Buccaneers, and the Lions. The Lions were going to have to play eventually down the road if we win this game. There's no way the Lions are actually losing to the Commanders, but we'll get to that later. I didn't want to play the Packers because the way they're designed, they are such a really efficient running offense, and they don't get sacks. They don't allow sacks very often. And the way the Eagles defense has worked is there's a lot of pressure on the D line to create pressure and get sacks on the quarterback so that it gives more time for the secondary to do their job. So, and the way the Packers offense works is Jordan Love has one of the quickest releases in the entire league on top of the fact that they don't allow very many sacks all year. So it was, schematically speaking, the Packers should have had a field day, but the issue that's been presented all year long for the Packers is that Jordan Love turns the ball over and the receivers drop a lot of passes. Now, the Packers went through a lot of injuries in this game, but a lot of them were later down the game where the game was pretty much out of reach, which I don't think it was ever out of reach, but I think it just felt like it was out of reach. And Jordan Love was turning the ball over. So that was exactly what I needed the Packers offense to do. If Jordan Love isn't turning the ball over and the receivers catch passes, they are one of the best offenses in the entire league. I mean, next year, let's say Jordan Love has under 10 interceptions next year. Packers are Jordan Love's probably an MVP candidate. I'm gonna throw that out there right now. And then defensively for the Packers, they have one of the best defenses in the league, getting 22 points on the Packers defense. That's you did your job. You did it good enough. A lot of people were worried about Jalen Hurts not looking well. I think Jalen Hurts did exactly what we needed him to do, given that he just came back from a concussion and hasn't played in a few weeks. I think a lot of people, like, I saw some takes on FS1. I don't watch FS1. I see them scroll through my feed sometimes, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, Jalen did exactly what he needed to do, returning from a concussion. Like, and he hasn't played in a couple weeks, so I don't know. He did exactly what I needed him to do. I expect him to get better. This is normally what Jalen's routine is he has these solid games and then only gets better and better and better. That happens every year. Quinyon Mitchell also got his first interception of the year. I told everybody, every Eagles fan I've talked to, I said, Quinyon's first interception is going to come when it matters most. It did. It mattered most. Ended up being basically the game-sealing play. All year long, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was stealing interceptions from Quinyon. He was being annoying. If you watch my videos.
Talk about annoying. Talk about a prima donna. I hate that guy. I'm sorry. I hate that guy.
I called him Namni Asamoah, and I said that I would have rather watched Namni Asamoah. At the beginning of the year, he was so bad. He was the worst secondary man I have seen in my lifetime on the Eagles. That was at the beginning of the year. Now he adjusted to Vic Fangio's defense, and he's been a lot better. I wouldn't say he's on that all-pro level that he was when he was last on the Eagles, but he's doing really good. Dude, you need to stop stealing it. He steals interceptions or bats balls away that Quinyon Mitchell could have had. Quinyon could have had like 5 interceptions all year. Anyways, I thought this game went exactly how I needed it to go. Brandon McManus, who I'm a huge Brandon McManus fan. I got a Brandon McManus autographed visor on my birthday one year because my mom knew a member of his family through her work, and Brandon sent me an autographed visor when he was a rookie. Now McManus went to Temple, and I thought, okay, this is cool. Some random kicker signed an autograph, but McManus has been one of the most consistent kickers since he entered the league. So I have a high appreciation for Brandon McManus. I even have a higher appreciation that he missed that kick. So yeah, I thought the game went exactly how I needed it to go. Now getting into the Rams game.
They looked good last week.
Let's talk about the Oh yeah. By the way, I found out Jared Verse and I were born on the same day.
Is that right?
Now I'm a huge Jared Verse fan now. I did not know that. He was also born November 4th, 2000. So I was like, I really like this guy now.
He's you know what? Yeah, I like him too because I realized he's a Scorpio like us. So okay, I can dig it.
Yeah.
Go Jared. Okay.
I don't appreciate him saying Eagles fans suck though. That was mean. I heard that this morning. We don't all suck. We're all good. We all are nice people. Just don't stir the pot, which you are currently doing.
Well, I will say that you don't suck. I think you are a nice person. Now you have to be honest. Contingent upon where you go, if you're an opposing fan, they're not going to be nice to you, Jordan. Come on now. Come on, let's be real. Let's keep it real. I mean, jeez, man. Matter of fact, was it last year? The Falcon. We went this year. I think the last year we went, there was pictures of Eagles fans like throwing stuff at the Falcon. Like, bro, y'all, woo! Hey, I get it, man. Let's talk about this matchup. So Rams come in. Very, very great performance last week. I think they got 8, 9, 10 sacks. They dominated the Vikings, who were 14-3, by the way, or 15-2, or whatever they were. They made Sam Darnold look like the Sam Darnold of old. But you say you're not worried about this matchup. Give me your thoughts as to why.
So, all right, I did not expect to be playing the Rams this week. I expected the Bucks to win against the Commanders, which threw me off. The Bucks were probably the one team I didn't want the Eagles to face in my bracket going before the playoffs started. I had the Eagles losing to the Bucks because that's just what Sirianni and the Eagles have done against the Bucks. It's annoying. Sirianni just doesn't know how to coach against the Bucks for some reason. So I'm glad that was the one team. I'm glad they're out of the playoffs. I wanted the Commanders to win that game. So I didn't expect this matchup. When before the Sunday night game between the Lions and Vikings, I said, if the Vikings lose this, they are going to lose to the Rams. I just didn't think there was any scenario where Sam Darnold leads the Vikings to a win against the Rams. On top of that, huge emotions on both sides going into this game all week between the wildfires for Los Angeles, having to relocate the game. The Vikings were talking about, what was his name? Kyrie Jackson, the rookie cornerback who passed away this offseason and got into a car accident. My mom was walking through the room and she was like, this is so depressing. I'm like, yeah, because this whole game was just filled with so much emotions.
Right.
And I didn't think Sam Darnold had any chance. It didn't matter if Randy Moss was out there in his prime. It really did not matter. Nothing was going to happen that got them to beat the Rams. Going into Monday Night Football, I kind of expected to play the Rams this week. I'm very comfortable because we are expecting 3 to 8 inches of snow. So some areas are saying 3 to 5.
Okay.
Others are saying 5 to 8. If you were to look on the radar right now, it would say 5 to 8 inches. So I'm going to have a wide range saying 3 to 8 inches.
Okay.
Where I'm at, like we're in the 5 to 8 range. Good luck. I've never been more confident in a playoff game ever. So if the Eagles lose this, I just said this an hour ago. If the Eagles were to lose this, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. I have no doubt in my mind because there's no, schematically speaking, you're playing in the snow. The Eagles have the most yards before contact in the entire league, and they're playing against one of the worst defenses when it comes to yards before contact. On top of that, let's look at the last meeting. Saquon had like 300 total yards. He had like 255 on the ground, and the Eagles were without Dallas Goedert, without AJ Brown, and it was either AJ or Devontae. There has not been a very healthy core all year long, so I get my games confused at whether Devontae was out, Jalen was out, AJ was out, Dallas was out. Who knows? Saquon was healthy all year though.
Yes, he was.
And
yes, he was.
I don't think it doesn't matter what the Rams do in terms of stopping the passing game. It's going to come down to, can you stop the Eagles' run game? And I just flat out don't think they will be able to. especially if it's so much snow that you can't really pass. That means Jalen's going to be running. We're gonna and so on top of that, we have the way our offense is designed is when we run the ball well. I mean, the offensive line is from Stoutland University. Jeff Stoutland is my Lord and Savior. And but then flip side defense, Stafford does not perform well in the snow. Some people for some reason are saying, well, he played in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, but they have a dome. Yeah, like this, it's not that hard to comprehend. Which is also why I mean, if there was a scenario where if the Eagles had gotten the 1 seed and the Lions for some reason had to go to Philly, I'd feel pretty comfortable because the Lions have been playing in a dome. So, I'm pretty comfortable with this game because of the weather. Even if it wasn't snowing, it's supposed to be really cold, and you have a lot of Cali guys on that team. Stafford does not perform well in the cold. I'm just pretty comfortable. I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Saquon's gonna go for 255 again. If he does, that's crazy. I just watched a video before we went live that Saquon was going to call Shady and asked him for tips because, I mean, Shady's arguably the greatest running back when it comes to playing in the snow ever. He's got 2 historic performances in the snow. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, Shady McCoy is low-key a very great. A lot of people overlook Shady McCoy, and they shouldn't, because he was a great back. And I think what made him so good was he could go between the tackles, but he was so damn shifty. Mm-hmm. It's like 1, 2, nope, wait, he's over here. Oh, nope. And he could cut on dimes, man. So yeah, Shady was something special, no doubt about it. I did not know. Yeah, that definitely changes. I did not know that the weather would be that bad this weekend. I should have. I didn't. So I can see your point there. I would say if this game were in LA, not that the Rams would win, but it would be a good fight. But
I agree.
Yeah, being that this is in Philadelphia, I think I tend to agree with you. I do. I tend to agree with you. All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit to our beloved Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons coordinator search. The team has completed 6 virtual interviews for their vacant defensive coordinator position. Now, being that you are not a Falcons fan, I'm interested to hear your opinions on potential defensive coordinators. And I'm just going to throw them up here, and you tell me what you think for each one. So, first and foremost, Jeff Ulbrich, give me your thoughts.
I'm looking at all these names. Who called? So Raheem Morris didn't call the defensive plays for the Falcons. The defensive plays.
No,
he doesn't. That's so interesting.
I think he did get involved when Jimmy kept messing up.
Yeah,
I think he gave Jimmy a template.
Yeah,
you know, if this, then this. If this, then this. Blah 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 blah. He gave him a Vizio. You know, those Vizio, that Vizio software, the Vizio presentations or whatever. If this, then this. I think he gave Jimmy that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that he necessarily called the plays, but I don't think he's going to call the plays this year. But we got Jeff Ulbrich, we got Steve Wilkes. Give me your thoughts.
See, now that makes me Raheem's going to have some say in the defense. Most defensive coaches do this. They'll have that say in the defense, like you said, kind of like that plan, which tells me they're going to eliminate big name guys. Like for me, the biggest name on there is Wink Martindale. I think if whoever gets him is going to get a big time defensive coordinator. A team that really needs a defensive coordinator because their defense just flat out sucks, which I don't think the Falcons defense flat out sucks. I think you have a lot of great pieces. I think you need help. You need a coach that can help on the defensive line and just creating pressure, getting those sacks. And that seems like a minuscule issue that if Raheem Morris has this outline and you just need someone to fill in. So, I mean, why does Jeff Ulbrich not sound familiar at all? What he
was
on the Jets, right?
Right. He took over when Saleh was fired.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. I was like, why does he didn't sound familiar for some reason. I think we all know Saleh really ran that defense for the Jets.
And that's what I've been saying. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's going to the Niners. Saleh's going to the Niners. So like we know their defense is going to get back to top 5 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Ulbrich, I mean, he was their defensive coordinator. Saleh ran that defense. I don't really know what you even want. I don't know what Ulbrich's defense would even look like. I mean, if you want a filler guy, if Raheem Morris has that outline, I guess Ulbrich does make sense. I mean, considering he has ties back to the Falcons when he was their linebackers coach, their defensive coordinator for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Steve Wilks is I have never liked Steve Wilks as a head coach. I thought he was one of the worst head coaches I've ever seen. And just from a schematic standpoint, he frustrated the heck out of me. Lou Anarumo, I just personally don't like the inconsistencies that he had with the Bengals defense. Okay. I think at times they looked very good, and at times they did not look good at all. I think that's ultimately the reason why the Bengals are not in the playoffs. I mean, it was their defense. Their defense just isn't good. So, and you have a historic offense when it comes to Joe Burrow. I also think the offensive line has been an issue for them. But yeah, I don't like any team hiring Lou Anarumo, unless you're like you're really down bad, like maybe the Raiders. I don't think the Falcons need someone like Lou Anarumo. Grady Brown, that's the Steelers secondary coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you need a secondary coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got the talent. And all right, the way your defense is designed, you need to have a coach that's you need to have a coach that is like the opposite of Vic Fangio's defense. You need someone who can utilize their secondary. You just put your secondary in a way that ultimately creates pressure for defenses. So, like I said, the reverse of Vic Fangio, because the Vic Fangio's is more defensive line creating pressure, so it relieves the secondary. And I mean, I guess maybe Grady Brown could be a good candidate. I mean, he's already done well outside of Joey Porter Jr., who's unnaturally a talented corner. Minka Fitzpatrick's been one of the best safeties of the last decade. I guess it makes some sense. Then you have Wink Martindale, or wait, no, Derek Ansley. Derek Ansley? Oh,
I think he's a
all right.
passing game coordinator for
But he
the
used to do
Packers.
defense, right? He used to do defense, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at this right now. So, I mean, I don't know why he went to the passing game coordinator. That's weird. I mean, it's kind of weird for me when like people who are so set on like one position doing well, and then they want to coach the opposite because they want to like do some like reverse psychology coaching. I always think that's interesting. Um, Clearly, I don't know. I don't know if we can say it worked for him because Jordan Love's been hurt, receivers have been hurt. We don't really know how the passing game would have looked healthy. So,
Right.
but I mean, I'm looking at his track record. Very, I don't know. In college, did really well. I mean, he was at Alabama as their DB's coach, 2016-17. But I don't. I think this tells me all I need to know of what Raheem Morris and what the Falcons want. They want someone whose focus is on DBs. So honestly, I think the best thing is maybe get Grady Brown or Derek Ainsley. If you want a top guy, if you want Raheem Morris to be like, hey, I want someone else to take over, go Wink Martindale. I think every team should be looking at Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator, or a defensive coach in some capacity. But I think for what Raheem Morris clearly wants something specific, and helping the secondary just do their job so that it creates more pressure. And I mean, I guess that's Grady Brown or Derek Ainsley.
Mm. So, what's your issue with Steve? Now, was your issue with Steve Wilkes as a head coach or as a defense
Coach.
coordinator?
As a head coach, yeah. Defensive coordinator, I think he's been solid. I mean, I think he's been solid. Again, I just think at times it's sort of like Lou Anarumo, where like at times at the times you need him most, he vanishes. And I'm just not I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of a coach like that. But yeah, I'm very anti Steve Wilkes head coach. So when I see that name, it triggers me a little bit like, oh, this guy sucks. Um, uh, but yeah, I'm really shocked Wink Martindale hasn't gotten. I don't know. I mean, how many other coordinator positions has he interviewed for? Because like he's, in my opinion, one of the better scheming defensive minds in the whole league. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I would go Grady Brown or Derek Ainsley. I think if you're looking for that in particular, but if you're just trying to hand over the reins to someone, I think Wink Martindale always makes sense.
Fair enough.
And Jeff Ulbrich, if you hire, as a Saints fan, if you hire Jeff Ulbrich, I think that's funny because I don't think you guys should, but if logically it doesn't make sense for you to, so I hope you do.
Of course. Kirk Cousins. You think the Falcons are going to trade him? Or are they going to play chicken with the rest of the league and say, you know what, we will have him come off the bench? Give me your thoughts on that.
I think it's stupid. I think the Falcons were playing this so smart, and I love the idea of having Penix like sit behind Cousins for a couple years. I love that idea. They're taking the really slow approach at this. They're trying to win now, but also focus on the future. At the same time, there's not many teams in sports that do that.
Right.
And like that's I wouldn't even call that a high risk, high reward, because if Cousins sucks, which I don't think he did, I think you guys got exactly what you were supposed to get with Kirk Cousins. I mean, this could have played out very well. I don't think Cousins should have been benched. And as much as I know a lot of Falcons fans saying he should have been benched. I think I think you got exactly what you wanted out of Kirk Cousins. And I said at the beginning of the year, I told all you guys, I said he is he's the most average quarterback in NFL history. And you pay the price with that. That means you need to load up your entire team for him to be successful. I'm sure if Kirk Cousins played on the 85 Bears, they'd win the Super Bowl. But I'm sure if Kirk Cousins played on the 08 Lions, they ain't winning a game. That's what you get. That's what the Redskins at the time got. That's what the Vikings got. The Vikings were so talented, and Kirk Cousins was only as good as the talent around him. That's not saying the Falcons are not a talented team. They clearly showed. I mean, they got Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, one of the best RB duos in the whole league. I think Kyle Pitts is a bit overrated. I think he's got the skill set to be one of the best tight ends in the league, but he hasn't shown that he can actually develop into a pro tight end.
He hasn't shown the willingness.
Yes.
He just doesn't have the will.
Drake London, I think he's a good option. I've never been a huge fan of Drake London. I was not a fan of him at USC. So I know Falcons fans have higher regard for him than most. But I personally would like to see him as a wide receiver 2 for the team and get a star, like one of the better receivers in the league. Like I wouldn't say T. Higgins is one of them. I know T. Higgins is a top wide receiver going in the free agency. So I think if the Falcons went after him, I think T is more of a wide receiver 2. I think he thrives off of whoever's the wide receiver 1. And I think that's what you need to do with Drake London. I think getting a legitimate top tier receiver could bring out the best out of him. And I mean, you pair after Drake London, you got Ray McLeod, you got
Rondell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney. I'm sorry.
Darnell Mooney. I think the Falcons set themselves up to just be okay. And I think the defense was really carrying them to begin the year. So they put themselves in a terrible spot by putting Penix in that late in the year, because it almost forces your hand to trade Kirk Cousins. Because are you going to seriously go into next year starting Kirk Cousins again and then being like, sorry, Penix, you played better than him, but we still want to see you rest? No, that's stupid. Are you really going to go into next year paying that much money for a backup quarterback? And even if something happens to Penix, you still know what you're getting out of Kirk Cousins. And that just doesn't make sense. This whole situation, I think it came down to the coaches putting it's like they forced their hand almost.
Yeah, I think Kirk was hurt, but Kirk could no longer throw the out. Kirk was throwing interceptions. Kirk was bad, man. Kirk was bad. And, I mean, say what you want about Drake. I think he got 100 receptions this year, 1,271 yards. I like Drake. I like Darnell Mooney. I love Bijan. I love me some Algier. I think even Kyle can fit in it. So Kyle, to me, I don't know if Kyle has ADD, and I'm not trying to speculate or put anything on him, but there are times that he's just not focused, right? There are times he's just not focused, and it's been that way throughout his 4-year career. But if you can get some sort of production out of it, if you can get 60 to 70 receptions, I think this offense can be productive. I think the Falcons can be a playoff team next year if you get the right defensive coordinator in here, because that offense is going to score points. So, again, just my thoughts. Let's move on. So I guess we'll close with the matchups we got this week. So you say the Eagles are going to trounce the Rams. And
I didn't say trounce. I said they're gonna beat them, but I'm comfortable.
Yeah, that means the Eagles are gonna put them boys. They're gonna throw some bows. Eagles gonna bust them up, man. Hey, I'm not mad at it. Ravens Bills Sunday at 6:30. This is the matchup I want to see, Jordan. This is the matchup I want to see. It's unfortunate that these two often come up against each other. It's unfortunate for them. It's a treat for us. I think this is going to be a great game, and I honestly don't know who to pick. Give me your thoughts on this matchup.
Oh man, I knew this game was coming. I knew it was coming. This was my whoever wins this game is going to the Super Bowl. And I seriously think either of these teams will beat the Chiefs. Which, all right, spoiler. I really like both these teams, but I've been saying it since before the season started that the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. I have at no point in the entire year, even when they started off so bad, I have at no point said the Ravens aren't going to the Super Bowl. I just think they are built in a certain way that there aren't many teams that can stop them. We saw what the Ravens and Bills did last time. I don't think the Bills did anything different to change their team this time, schematically speaking, or just talent-wise. So I don't think the Bills do anything different against the Ravens. And the Ravens, I don't think they do anything different. I think both these teams kind of look like the same teams they were when they last played. I'm going with the Ravens until they show me otherwise, until this Bills team shows me otherwise. Now, I will say, I think this game is so important to the legacies of a lot of players in this game than any other game in the entire, even if you include the Super Bowl. I think if you include the Super Bowl, whatever that matchup that may be, I think this is the most important game all year when it comes to legacies. Because if Lamar or loses another playoff game, then it's suddenly like, all right, man, you're losing in the playoffs. We finally have the team. Now I know Zay Flowers is hurt, but we finally have the teams that can go to the Super Bowl and win it. And we lose. Now I love Lamar. Lamar is one of my favorite players. I love watching that dude play.
Me too.
Derrick Henry is one of the greatest running backs I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason that offense should at all stall against the Bills, especially the Bills defense, which has been an issue. If anyone has watched Jason, our Bills administrator's videos, Jason has talked about the defensive inconsistencies. And on the flip side, I think the Bills can do enough on the Ravens defense. I think we might be looking at like a 35-32 game. I'm thinking it's a high scoring game. I think both defenses are just good enough. It will come down to who turns the ball over more. And I can't trust Josh Allen when it comes to a game that comes down to who's going to turn the ball over fewer. So I love Josh Allen too. And I think if he loses, then we're having the same conversation that we have with Lamar with him. And that sucks. I like both these guys. I think either one of them could win a Super Bowl. And someone's got to lose.
And that's the unfortunate thing about it. These are two great quarterbacks. These are two great quarterbacks. I mean, great quarterbacks. And it's just unfortunate that it has to come down to this because I think you're absolutely right, Jordan. I think the loser of this game, you turn the clock on the narrative. It's in the background, but you lose this game, and you know how people are. Can't win the big one, you know. So I don't know who to pick. I really don't. I don't know who to pick. I've been thinking about this all day. I don't know who to pick. Um, but I'm gonna pick the Bills just because they're at home. I
Smart
just,
pick.
I could be totally wrong. I probably am wrong, but I'm gonna pick the Bills because you got to pick somebody. All right, Commanders, Lions. I'm gonna go Lions here, but that damn Jaden Daniels, man, that dude is like a freaking leprechaun. He just disappears and reappears, and he's over here and he's over there, and you got him in your grasp, and you're about to take. Oh wait, no, you don't. Oh shit, no, we got around the defensive end. Oh wait, just as the Falcons up first down, couldn't stop him. I mean, this guy, man, this guy's freaking phenomenal. Now, I honestly don't think he's going to do that in Detroit, but it would not surprise me if he did. Give me your thoughts on this matchup.
Oh, I think the Lions are winning. I don't even think it's a question. I'm so confident that this is going to happen. I think I love Jaden Daniels. He was my second quarterback, obviously behind Caleb Williams going into the draft. But that wasn't showing the bigger picture. Jaden Daniels going into the draft was one of the best prospects I've ever looked at, and I thought he should have gone 2 overall. And I'm just like before the draft process even started. He's been one of my favorite draft prospects to look at ever. And to see him thrive on the Commanders, it's not shocking. Um, I it's the Lions. You're in Detroit. You have a rookie quarterback. It doesn't matter. I will say this to the day I die. No rookie quarterback will go and win a Super Bowl. It would have to take the rarest scenario where you already have a built team who just trades all their picks for a rookie quarterback. I don't think it'll ever happen. I said it about Brock Purdy. I said he was not going to win the Super Bowl. I've said it about any rookie quarterback that goes to the playoffs. In my playoff predictions video, I said I could be wrong about all these picks, and if you think one team's going to win the Super Bowl and I don't think they're going to win, it doesn't matter. It's all of our opinions are different, but the one thing's for certain is the Broncos and the Commanders. Neither of them are winning the Super Bowl because they have rookie quarterbacks. I don't think it'll ever happen. And it'll take a rare scenario, like I said. The Lions are just built in a certain way that even with these injuries, they still have the depth. And I think I don't think the Commanders have the depth to handle the Lions. I think it's very possible this game ends up not close very quickly.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair assessment. All right, and bringing up the rear, we got the Texans versus the Chiefs. I'm sorry, the Texans versus the Chiefs and the refs. There you go. Give me your thoughts on this one.
I picked the Chargers to win last week against the Texans. I don't think the Texans are quite ready to win a Super Bowl or even go to a Super Bowl. I don't think they're ready. I think there's a lot of players who are still young. They're still new to this playoff experience. The one guy who's not is Joe Mixon. He's been here. He's done that. And you can tell by just watching the team how much Joe Mixon matters to the offense when he is on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I love D'Amico Ryans. I loved watching him in Philly. Until Zach Bond this year, I think he was the best linebacker I ever got to watch in an Eagles uniform, and that's not saying much considering the Eagles linebacker history isn't that great. But I loved watching D'Amico Ryans so much, and I root for him to be a successful head coach. But I don't think this team has hit that like frustrated wall yet. I think they're still in the we're young, we're playing around, we're just doing a bunch of things and having fun. But eventually, just like the Chiefs with Mahomes during his MVP year, you face a team who's got that experience who then drives you nuts. Like when the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game that year, it happens to all the greats where you suddenly get to the point and then you get that one loss that fuels you for the next year. And despite the Texans going and losing to the Ravens last year, I still feel like they're playing around, having fun, and still young and not really taking it all in.
Okay.
So I don't think they're quite ready. If the Texans were to win this game, great. I'm not picking them next week then. Like I said, whoever wins between the Ravens and Bills is going to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
I will pick the Chiefs. I think they've been here. They've done this. I don't like the fact that they basically have 2 weeks off. They could be really rusty. We could be looking at that Chiefs-Texans game when Deshaun Watson was playing, where the Texans came out to early lead, and then the Chiefs just steamrolled them for the rest of the game. We could see something like that. I think we might see a low-scoring game. I think we have two very good defenses. Even though we have two very talented quarterbacks, I think we will have a low-scoring game, and I think the Chiefs are gonna win.
Well, and Carlos says Mixon is out, so
yes, yeah. But when I'm speaking of like when Joe Mixon is on the field, that's why I said when he's on the field, because sometimes he's not, and that hurts. I think the team.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Chiefs and the refs. You got to forgive me. I'm still pissed about that. I'm so pissed about because anybody could see that Kyle Pitts was mugged. Okay. I don't know if somebody slipped the ref the five hundo. Not that they have $500 bills, but somebody, it just doesn't make sense. But anyway, whatever. I'll get over it. I'm going to say the Chiefs as well. Yeah, I'm going to say the Chiefs as well. So look at Jordan. If you are free next Friday, we can come back here and talk it again, and look who won and who lost, and kind of talk through it and make our predictions for next week. Are you open to that? Is your calendar open?
Oh yeah, calendar is open. Yeah,
good deal. All right, so I mean, let's book it for next week, man. Yeah, let's say next week we'll get together and we'll do this thing all over again. And not that I root for your Eagles, I don't, but you're a friend, so I'm kind of And then I've got another friend who roots for the Eagles. And then my nephew roots for the Eagles. God damn it. I guess I'm rooting for the Eagles. All right. So
go Birds.
I can't believe I said that. Yeah. So hey man, Jordan, tell these folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Ultegacy, ULTEGACY. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. TikTok is probably getting shut down, so don't go follow us on TikTok. Which I kind of predicted. If you look at why I haven't uploaded in so long on TikTok, because the rumors of this have been going on for years, and I just didn't want to get too heavily involved in the TikTok because of that. Find us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, Threads. We are on the new platform. I don't remember what it was called. It was Blue Sky. That's new. I know there's a lot of politics when it comes to social media, but I just kind of like to, like I told all of our administrators, I like to expand as to every corner of social media.
Yeah.
Just to reach out to more people. But yeah, follow us on YouTube too.
Gotcha. Will do. And again, Jordan, thank you as always, man. Appreciate you coming on the show. Jordan is a wealth of knowledge. For those of you who don't know Jordan, he's probably forgotten more than I'll ever know. I mean, this guy can go back to the 1950s, literally, and tell you what cleats a linebacker wore. Like, he's that good with it.
Speaking of 1950s, this is Dante Gluefingers Lavelli. This is his autograph with the certificate of authenticity. I just thought I'd share that.
Who the hell was Dante Gloomfingers, whoever the hell you just said?
A Hall of Famer. Do you know that he was... All right, speaking of playoffs, let's recap the Bills-Broncos game. So Bo Nix had the touchdown to Troy Franklin. That was the first rookie-to-rookie touchdown in NFL history. And I thought, there's no way. So I went through every game in every playoff game in NFL history with a rookie quarterback.
Of course.
In NFL history, there has not until then. AFL history is technically included in NFL history. In the stat sheet. AFL history, no. But the AFC, which also merged with the NFL, some people don't call it a merger, but the NFL obtained the Browns, the Niners, and a previous iteration of the Colts that has nothing to do with the Colts nowadays. Dante Lavelli is a Hall of Famer. He played with Otto Graham in the AFC. Otto Graham threw...
Were they called the AFL back then?
No, this was before the AFL. So the AFL was 1960 to 1969, and then they merged. Okay. But 10 years prior to the AFL, in the late 40s, from 1946 to 1949, there was the AFC. The Browns won all the championships in that league. Otto Graham is one of the greatest quarterbacks in football history, and his primary target was Dante Lavelli. That is the first instance of a rookie-to-rookie touchdown in playoff history. And technically, because the NFL accepts the stats from the AFC, that is technically the first ever playoff touchdown by a rookie to a rookie.
Okay.
The more you know.
The more you know. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why Jordan is the greatest. The man is a whiz with spreadsheets. I mean, he is a whiz. And again, has forgotten more than I will ever know. So just and he's young, like he's young. So I don't know where the hell you had time to like look up all this stuff. We got to talk about that at one point because Jesus, man. But hey, man, always enjoy you. Let's get together next week. Those in the chat who joined us, thank you. Appreciate you. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be with us. And we're going to thank you for that. And we're going to invite you to come back next Friday so we can have this discussion again. Next, I want to thank God. Wouldn't be here without him. And I can be found on For My ATL Sports 1. Again, the number 4, My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe so that we can continue to bring you content like this, as it enables us to move up in the algorithm and be seen and bring you more content. And with that being said, guys, have a great weekend. Everybody stay warm, stay safe, and we will see you when we see you. Rise up. I'm not going to say go Eagles, and I'm definitely not going to say go Saints. You guys have a great weekend. Go Birds. Thanks, everybody. Good night.